Hello, folks. This is Mike the dog
and Earl the trainer.
Welcome to Phase 3 training.
Pay very close attention to this is a very serious phase.
Okay. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the remote collar for the first time in this phase. This is representative of a Phase 3 collar. Now the remote collar is definitely the most abused training item that could be found out there. So because of this, we got to be, like we said before, we have to all be very, very serious about this. Now in Phase 3 training, we are going to use the remote for two main things, really. One is going to be able to transfer what we taught the dog on the Phase 2 collar in Phase 2 to off-leash training, to be able to give the dog minimum amount of correction that the dog will respect when they're off-leash. And also, if we do need to give a correction while we're in Phase 2 that seems like it's just being too rough or could physically hurt the dog or makes us lose our calm confidence, that's when it's time for a Phase 3 collar. Because the Phase 3 collar, if it's used the right way, we want to be able to use the minimum amount necessary for the dog to respond. And the Phase 3 collar, remote collar, allows us to do this. We only use, at the moment, we only use Dogtra collars. We use the Dogtra collars because they tend to be very highly adjustable. The particular one I'm using in this demo is the Dogtra 2300. And if Earl turn it on, and there's actually a little digital display on there, and he could hold it very close to the camera there, and he'll turn a little dial, and this one actually has 127 different levels on it. We always start low and then work our way up. It should not be used like an invisible fence collar or something, which gives an avoidance level of correction, which is usually enough to make the dog cry or really scare the dog. The dog would never be able to concentrate if we used a correction that high. Everything we do with the dog is going to be the minimum amount so they can focus, and the level only goes up in direct correlation with the dog's adrenaline level. So if we want to use the lowest level that they feel or motivated by when there's no distractions around, and as the distractions get higher, we just slowly move it up so we get the same kind of obedience response when there was no distractions. Remember, we do not want to see the dog cry. We do not want to see the dog get scared, and absolutely do not attempt using the remote unless your dog is completely understands everything in Phase 1, has completely mastered everything in Phase 2, or else the dog will get very, very confused. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to demo how this works on me. Now, I've taken corrections on the remote collar on my hand a few times. This is the first time I'm actually doing it on my neck. And just like all the other training, I don't want to do anything to the dog that I wouldn't feel comfortable doing to myself. So what we're going to do is Earl's going to put the remote on my neck. So what he's going to do is first he's going to make sure he turned it on. And the Dogtra collars, if you use one, there are two little red dots on the collar, and you touch them together to turn on the collar. And is it on, or do we just shut it off right there? Actually, we're turning it on. He presses the two red, and there it goes. It's working. There's a little green light there. Now, when he puts on the collar, what we're going to do, the way that I use the collar is we're not relying on this collar giving some hot burning correction, to the dog. We're actually going to use low levels, and we're going to use it similar to when people get physical therapy, and the collar is just used. The remote stimulation just kind of twitches your muscles. We're looking to annoy the dog. So because of that, I'm not going to put the collar directly on the trachea because there's no muscle there to actually twitch, and there's also a chance. I'm always worried that possibly we could hurt the trachea, having those two contact points touch the trachea. So Earl's going to put it on my neck, and he's going to put it on a slight angle so that the contact points are actually kind of touching one of my muscles on the side of the neck there. Now he's going to make the collar snug enough so that I'm not gagging. Notice I'm not gagging, but the contact points should be pressed firmly enough into my neck so that this cannot be rotated easily on my neck, or if the collar is facing towards the ground, the weight of the collar is not going to pull the contact points off my neck. Because if that's the case, it's not going to be working correctly. Now, when you're training your dog with this, do not leave this in the same spot for more than 2 hours. If you're going to have it on for longer than that, loosen it, shift it in a slightly different spot, and then retighten it, because there is a possibility, theoretically, that they can get a pressure sore, from being in the same spot too long. Which, Jen, I don't remember last time I ever dealt with anything like that, because we're very good about always shifting, the collar. Now, we're going to use, there's on the remote, there's actually a few different buttons. There's an on-off switch, which is over there on this particular model. There's a pager button, I think that's right in the front on this model, where if Earl presses that, what it does is it actually just causes the remote to vibrate. So you could press that and see what it does to me. Ooh, feels kind of good. And you can use that for different types of training. We don't use it that much unless we're working with a deaf dog to get their attention, but it's actually really good to use when you're, we use it as instructors to test the owner's timing. But anyway, that's really not important for this part of the video. Now, there's two other buttons on the side here. One's a nick button, and one's a continuous button. Now, the nick button, which is what you're going to be using 99.99% of the time, when you're training, is what we're going to be using. Now, when you press the nick button, it doesn't matter how long you hold it down, there'll be a little microsecond of a correction that comes from the collar. So it doesn't matter how long you hold it down, it gives just one little pop. If you were to hook this up to a light bulb, the light bulb would just kind of flick once, really quick. The continuous button, if you hold that down, as long as your finger is on the button, it will give a continuous correction, which we don't want to use. Even if you tap the continuous button, even we tried doing it as quick as we could, the correction is generally at least 4 times as long in duration as if you just tap the nick button. So don't mess around with the continuous button, except for unless we tell you it's appropriate in instruction. But it's very, very rare where we actually would use the continuous button. Now, on the front of the remote here, of this particular one, there's a little display, all right? And as Earl turns the dial, it goes up. This model goes up to about 127. On the average dog, I would say that we start training the dog on about level 10. Anything below level 10, unless you have a super, super sensitive dog, they don't really detect it, really well. But that's where we'll generally start with the average, dog. So what's going to happen is this is the first time on my neck, and I have no fur, and I'm not probably nearly as tough as the average dog, even though you may look at me and be like, that looks like a pretty tough guy, Look at that. But really, I'm not that tough. But let's see. So Earl's going to give me a nick on the level 10, and let's see what it does to me. All right, so he's going to do like an exaggerated, stick your finger out there and then press it down to see the time in here. Okay, so he presses it.
1, 2, 3.
So actually I did feel that. I do definitely detect it. So what it felt was like, a little burst of. Can you explain it? Kind of
static electricity.
Yeah, perfect. Like little static electricity, like a little bit of static electricity on my neck there. So for me, I would actually say that would probably be good enough to train me with. Do that again? Let me feel that again.
Watch the screen to see when the signal goes. It changes blue.
That was my Does my collar blink? A collar should blink too when you press it at the same time.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. So level 10, that's what we train, for most dogs. Now a lot of dogs, they will not. You won't even know they're getting corrected, but they will. And that's the hardest part of training. You'll see is figuring out when are they actually noticing it. So to give them the benefit of the doubt, everything we're going to be showing you start off on the lower levels. And then you're going to slowly turn it up, as we move along with the training, and we'll show you on those specific exercises. But let's just see. What I want to do now is we're going to keep kind of going up, just like a notch at a time, and I just want to see the point where it's probably a little too motivational. So you kind of get an idea of when it's time to probably. Actually, you know what? Go back down to level 10. Let me see actually just tap the continuous for a second. I want to see the difference here.
He's brave, people.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So I felt like the equivalent of like 3 or 4 like little bursts. Definitely more motivational. And the continuous is a really, like I say, don't play around with it. There may be times wherein the dog is very high adrenaline and they're absolutely not listening to the nick, or sometimes just tapping the continuous might be all you really need, but not if it makes the dog cry or something. Like if I cry or something during this video, or get really scared or bite Earl or something for doing it, definitely too much. So we never want that to happen. If something like that happens, it just shows, there's an error in the training. We got to adjust as soon as possible. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep going up a notch, and Earl's going to just give me, give me a nick. All right, so he's going to go up to about 11. We're going to go one at a time. So he's going to go 11, give me a nick, then 12, give me a nick, and we're going to see what this does. Right, so we're on 11, and he does a nick. Let's say. Ooh, okay, go to 12. I'm going to try to relax my neck, see if it'll make a twitch.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, good. Go up. So 13. Okay. Good. 14. Good. 1, 2, 3, pop. Okay, good. 15. 1, 2, 3. Oh, good. I'm actually starting to feel my muscle like slightly start to twitch over here. And these are along the levels. 16. Okay, good. Good. So I'm feeling something. I don't know if we could see. I don't really think. Now these are about the levels. A lot of our average like pit bulls and Dobermans are about 17.
17.
Yeah. Good. I don't know. Do you see anything
I thought
twitching
I saw
there?
a twitch there. Let me watch that one again.
These are the signs we're seeing on the actual dog. I'm not in pain. It's just a little annoying. Just the surprise of it. That's kind of annoying. All right.
1, 2, 3.
Good. You feel a little twitch?
Definitely saw a twitch on that one.
Yeah. All right.
That would probably be where I would keep Mike if he was just under a regular distraction.
I think that's probably that's going to be around the level. That's going to be at the point where the pinch collar, you feel like you're having to be too rough with the dog and you don't want. We'd probably start at about level 17 on me. Let's go a little higher. Let's go to 18. Let's get a little closer. See if we see a twitch here.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, you see it? Yeah,
Definitely
I think I see a twitch. Go a little higher. Go 19.
19.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, good. Yeah, I get like a little, okay, go 20. 20 is usually about on my fingertips. So my neck is definitely more sensitive. Usually on my fingertips, 20 is about, what I start feeling. All right, let's go again.
1, 2, 3.
Ooh, that one definitely gives me a jolt. Go do that one again.
1, 2, 3.
Good. Ooh, good. All right. So that would be probably definitely if someone comes in the door over here and the guy has pizza, and I'm like, I want that pizza now, and you'll see, and Earl's like, no, you sit here, Mike. I'm like, no, I'm going to get that pizza. Watch what happens when I get up. If he corrects me, watch.
Sit.
Oh, good. Yeah, like, all right. Maybe I'll hang out. It's kind of annoying. All right. So now what he's going to do, he's actually sometimes you'll see we'll be telling you to pulsate it. All right. pulsate the correction. So watch Earl. Earl's going to bring that into screen over here, and he's going to kind of like take his finger and pulsate. And we tell you to pulsate. Watch about the pace that he does it. It'll be about the same amount of pace, yeah, if he was flicking his wrist on the pinch collar. So he'll pulsate on 20. It's probably even a little higher than I need to be motivated, but since we may mess up with the dogs and go a little too high, let's see what it's like, on me. All right, so pulsate. Oh man, so it's annoying as hell. All right, so we want to teach your dog how to avoid this, but it is meant to be a correction. But I don't feel like I'm getting tortured. Now, if Earl was a moron over here and he really didn't know what he was doing, and he's just correcting me for all kinds of things, like he's speaking some language that that I don't know and telling me stuff, and he keeps pulsating that, this could really freak me out, and and I may bite him, and he deserve it. All right, speak. Actually, I don't know how to speak Spanish pretty good. Some Spanish. Tell me something in Spanish. If I don't listen, just zap me.
Levántate. No.
What?
Levántate.
What? God,
no,
what?
Levántate. Bad dog.
All right. See what I mean? Don't let that happen. All right. I mean, you could train your dog in Spanish, but make sure you go through phase 1, phase 2, and then phase 3. It's not fair to the dog. All right. But that's to give you an idea about the remote, and I'll be using this on myself in the instructional video. So it looks like about 17 works for me. If I'm a little more distracted, 20 works. If there's a really, really big distraction, like big steak, someone brings in a steak and I want it, I might have to go up to 25 or higher. But you get the idea, okay? So that's a little introduction, to the remote. Do not abuse it. This is something that you have to take very, very seriously. If in any way you feel like you or your dog is having a bad experience, stop. Get professional assistance immediately, because this is, like I say, it's one of the most easily abused things. And even if you're trying your best to do the right thing for your dog, if there's still a chance you can confuse your dog. So watch for the signs of your dog being stressed out, and put on the brakes and contact a professional who knows how to use this training method. Okay, all right. I think that's good.